Well, good evening, Women with Grit listeners and participators. I want to welcome you here today. We're excited about our guest and about our show. As you notice, my sidekick, my homie, my partner, Sherelle Lands, is not here today, very much as I did last week with my son. She had a family scenario pop up, and she's got to attend to that. As you know, that does happen for all of us from time to time. But I'm excited to be here today. I'm riding solo. I don't think I've done solo before. If I have, I've only done it once. And we know that Sherelle's had to hold me up a couple times when I wasn't able to make it. But hey, it's been a great week, and I'm just looking forward to our show this evening. Before we get started, I want to make sure you all remember to share this with all your friends and family and in your network, and make sure people let people know that they should join in now. Melissa Hudson-Grant is a dynamite woman who has just done so many things, and although relatively new to the Nashville community, she's taken it by storm. But we're going to talk to her about her background and all the things that she's got going on, and I think you're going to learn something. So definitely want you to make sure you share and like and share and all that with your network. Hey, what's up, Sharonda Scott? Thanks for joining. Sharonda is definitely one of our loyal listeners, and she's also good with great questions. So I'm looking forward to those. Before we get started, I want to tell you all, I was watching the news today, and there's a new photo book that's coming out called Trailblaze Her. Trailblaze Her. So it's on the news. It literally shows, takes pictures of people like Maya Angelou, and it shows like her mini me, which is a young, very very young actress or model that will speak and do some of her poems, and takes people like Misty Copeland, the dancer, and RBG, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and has her mini me, which is really cool because she's wearing the glasses like everybody, like the Supreme Court justice did. So check it out when you get an opportunity. You can probably just Google it and find out when it's going to be published and when it's going to come out. But it's called Trailblaze Her. So check it out. Before we get started and go to our guests, I want to thank our sponsors. First of all, I want to thank MJC Insurance, MJCINS.com. Holler at Brianna over at MJC Insurance, and she will help you search for over 15 to 20 different companies to find the best, and I mean the best coverage for you and your family, whether it's auto insurance, homeowners insurance, your boat, your bike, I mean your motorcycle bike, and even your vacation home. They'll be very much happy to help you. And if you're a business owner and you need workers' comp insurance, or you need builder's risk insurance for your construction company, or any type of general liability coverage, MJC Insurance Group is the place to go. Again, you can reach them. You can go to their website, mjcins.com, mjcins.com. And we want to thank Terrell Perry at Molet Investment Services. He's the president and CEO of Molet Investment Services. Terrell is here to help you really get your financial house in order. And I tell you what, so many of us continue to talk about investing and we just never get to it. Terrell's there to walk you through all the steps that it will take to get you there. In addition to that, if you're walking around with too little life insurance or no life insurance at all, Terrell's definitely around. He's the man to help you get your insurance situation in order for your personal insurance, as well as disability coverage. So many people walk around without disability coverage. That's another coverage that you should definitely look at. And I know many of you will say, hey, I have life insurance at my company. Well, the thing that you have to realize is in most cases, when you leave your company, you leave your insurance. So go ahead and get that squared away today. We also want to thank Sherelle Lands. Check out all of Sherelle's books and classes on her website. Go to SherelleLands.com, VisionStrategyManagement.com, and she will be happy to allow you to just explore her catalog. And then if there's something that you need, go ahead and buy it. If there's a course you need her to come and work with your employees with, or with you personally with, she's happy to do that as well. And then we want to thank the table. For many of you all, I know you've checked out the table and just checking out the things that we're doing with my co-founder, Kate Wood. We're just having an exciting, a really good time, I'll say, with the table and just really seeing the results that it's generating. And then lastly, I want to make an announcement. Starting next Wednesday, we're going to drop Wealthy Wednesdays. And this is going to be me really talking to you about the strategies to build wealth. And then we're going to talk about next week, the difference between being rich and being wealthy. We're going to talk about assets and just a few practical things. It's a 25 to 30-minute podcast, and we want you to join in with us. So all that out of the way, it's time for the one and only, my friend and a person that I've been looking forward to having on our show, Melissa Hudson-Gant, who is the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and which is a phenomenal organization. All right, let's get ready for Melissa. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Lee. How are you?
Hey, look what I did. Hey.
Check you out. All by yourself.
Yes, all by myself. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I feel like Sherelle's probably cheering from the sidelines.
Probably so. She's thinking, okay, those step-by-step directions I sent him actually worked.
And he followed them.
Yes. Hey, I want to thank you, first of all, for joining us today. I'm just excited to have this hour to introduce you to our listeners and allow you to just impart your wisdom on them and with all the things that you've done and are doing across the country.
Well, I don't know how much wisdom I'm going to impart, but I'm really excited to be here with you. You know, Lee, every time you and I get into a conversation, it usually lasts a pretty long time, and we cover a lot of fun topics and always walk away learning something and having laughed a lot. So looking forward to our time together tonight.
Yeah, well, same here. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's dive on in.
Keep it up.
I was going to say, what did you do this weekend? But no, but I do want to ask you, tell me something fun that you did over the weekend, over this past week.
Oh gosh, this weekend, which was more than 5 minutes ago. Well, one, I can tell you that we were outside as much as possible. It was absolutely glorious. And this is my favorite time of year. I feel, it's kind of like spring and fall. Spring is where you get released from the winter, and fall is where you get released from the dog days of August. And so this is the time when I'm outside as much as possible, and had a friend that celebrated his 60th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And so we went and celebrated that with him.
Okay. Well, great. That's always fun. Anytime we can celebrate birthdays. I think right now, with the pandemic and everything, every time we have an opportunity to celebrate someone's birthday, it really, it probably hits us even more now than it did in the past.
It really does. That's a good point. It adds some specialness and depth to celebrations, because we went so long without them in person anyway. We were doing them virtually, and we were all sharing experiences, but we couldn't be together. So now that we're back together, it's really exciting. I will tell you something I'm very excited about. This Friday, my husband and I are going to see Brian Blade. He's playing in town. He's a jazz musician for all you folks that are really into music. So,
all right. Now, where's he going to be?
He's actually going to be at a church in Green Hills.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I tell you what, this is such a music city. The churches are having musicians come into.
Man, you cannot swing a dead cat without hitting an amazing musician in Nashville. And that's something that I wish a lot of people knew about our city, is that there are a lot of great country artists here, but there are musicians of every genre and incredible caliber.
Yes. I tell you what, a lot of people didn't know that people like Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston used to come in and record, because we have some of the best studios, in the world, really. And so we have a lot of those folks that are coming in and recording and every now and then. I remember Prince came in, he just, he did a show, and then he went, I think, somewhere in East Nashville and jammed for a while.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a whole lot of basement concerts going on here.
Yes, indeed. So, Melissa, so of course, the name of the show is Women with Grit. And so we want to understand what your story of grit is.
Well, so you're going to start me off with what is probably not really a softball question, but I've been
Yeah.
thinking about that. And, I am a college educated, middle class white woman who had two parents, had a great childhood. And I think really if I think about my story of grit, it is generational.
Okay.
I come from a long line of people, of Southerners, who have had to work really hard to get where they are. And I am the product of all of those people that came before me and the hard work that they put in. Specifically, my grandparents on both sides of my family all had to quit school in
Oh, wow.
8th grade. They had to go to work and support their family.
Okay.
My grandmother, in fact, who is my maternal grandmother, who was always a role model for me, education meant so much to her that in her 60s, she went back and got her GED.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
She taught
cool.
herself how to drive at the age of 27, and at 60 went back and got her GED because it was
Okay.
important. And then my parents were both first generation college graduates. They worked really hard. They put themselves through school. My dad enrolled in the military to help pay for their education.
Wow.
They became principals in the public school system in Clarksville, Montgomery County here in Tennessee, just north of Nashville. And that really transformed our family. In fact, every person in their generation in our family, all those kids went to college, and that completely transformed the course of our whole family, which was a lesson for me, the power of education and the doors that it opens up for you. So, of course, there have been, we're going to get into some professional discussions today about work and life. But as my backstory really is the product of people who had grit that allowed me to have the life that I have today.
Wow. And I tell you what, we talk about we have more in common than we have differences. And very much similar to you, my grandmother went back to school after her 5 kids had gone through college, and she got her degree, and she actually started teaching. And so she had 5 children. My grandfather grew up in Alabama. He did 2 years at Tuskegee, but back then, unfortunately, my grandfather was born in 1914, so what the time was then. Very racially motivated, and they were killing Black men. So his parents sent him to Detroit to get away from that, and so he started his life in Detroit, and he never went back to college. But 2 years for someone born in 1914, that was the equivalent of probably a doctorate.
Absolutely, that's
for us now.
extraordinary.
And then my grandmother, but they were very much focused on making sure their kids got their education. So all 5 of their kids graduated from college, didn't have any debt or anything like that. And to your point, that kind of changed the trajectory of our entire family, as all of my cousins, save maybe one, who's very successful in his own right, but all of us have gotten our college degrees. And now it's kind of an expected thing now.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. So now, so you think about your family and how they essentially kind of set you up, if you will, especially mentally, and making you think, okay, college is not an option. It's something I have to do. But then you finish college, and then what happened?
I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. While in college, I thought maybe I wanted to go on to law school, but I had a lot of friends who were attorneys, who were working like 80, 90 hours a week. And I thought, maybe that's not my gig. I'm not, that doesn't seem like a lot of fun. The work that you do is really interesting, but you do it all the time.
Yes.
So I'm not sure that's my thing. So I'd started waiting tables when I was in college, which was a fantastic gig to have in college. You made a lot of money in a short period of time. You had good hours. You met a lot of people. It was just fun. And I really dug it. And so I moved into management. I bartended for a bit, moved into management. And so I was working in that space for a couple of years and trying to figure out what do I want to do with my life. And I'll kind of segue for a second. I think it's so interesting that we really push young people to make a decision about their career choices when they're in college. And in fact, I think you and I have probably had a conversation about this before. And at the age of 18, you don't know anything. I mean, there's so many options for you, and you don't really know yourself. You're not really sure what you're good at or what's going to inspire you or really twirl your skirt. So it took me a little bit to figure that out. And I was fortunate to have a friend that worked at a long-term care facility for developmentally disabled folks, Mercy Homes here in Antioch. And so I got a job there, and that really was transformational for me. I learned two things there. One, I am not wired to work in the healthcare system. It is big. And it does it's big, does a lot of good things, but it's kind of a quagmire, and it is hard for one individual to really have a positive impact outside of the one person that you're touching. But secondly, what I learned was that I really love nonprofit work. We're all motivated by money, of course, but I needed to have something that I felt like was really giving back to the community. And so while I was at Mercy Homes working, my then roommate, this was before I was married, we were roommates in college, and we were roommates for years after we graduated until I got married. And she lost her mom to a blood cancer. And she was 27 years old, and it was a really painful, tough experience. Her mom had been sick for a little more than 2 years. And so when she lost her, she was really struggling with that. She just didn't have the coping skills, because why would you? To have watched her mom go through that and then lose her. And so I found this program called Team in Training. It's a fundraising event that the Leukemia Lymphoma Society puts on.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so you train to do endurance events, like a half marathon or marathon, Century Ride Triathlon, and then you fundraise. So I got her to a meeting, and she signed up, and she trained for, completed, and was the top fundraiser for the Chicago Marathon.
Wow.
And it was just this powerfully transformative experience and healing experience for her. She had all this stuff that she was carrying around, and she didn't know what to do with it. And she got to go put it somewhere, and it did something good.
Wow.
It did something good for her, for her family, for all the people that loved and cared about her mom. And there were tons, because her mom was an amazing woman. And then she got to and she raised money to help fund a cure so that other families might not have to go through that and experience that loss. And she did it all with a group of people who had a similar experience with her. I mean, it was just, it was amazing.
That is.
So, it was such a great experience for her that my husband and I volunteered, and we started raising money and running marathons. And I got really engaged in the organization, and they hired me. And that was it.
Hey, Melissa, you've been here a lot lately. You need a job?
That's right. You won't go anywhere. Should we pay you?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
so that
cool.
kind of started my career with fully in nonprofit that was outside of the medical field. And I just loved it. I loved raising money. I loved securing investment from people so that they could feel the impact that they could have on a community. I loved building community and building relationships, getting people together around a common vision that's really productive. I just dug it.
All right.
So that's where I've been.
Okay. All right. Hey, nothing wrong with that. It's nothing like really being able to find your gift and especially if you can find your gift and turn it into a career, because it makes it really feel like you're not really working at all. You always are working within your gift and sharing your gift and doing your mission, or what have you. So that's wonderful that you're able to do that.
Yeah, I think that is very true. I am a workaholic. I work all the
Okay.
time and I love it. And
Okay.
in fact, I told my husband, and he's made plans for this. I have no intent on retiring. I don't
Okay.
think I would do well with retirement. Need to work. I love it. But
Yeah.
it doesn't, and maybe part of why I do, to your point, Lee, is because it doesn't feel like work to me.
Hmm.
It's something I really love and enjoy.
Okay.
In the role that I have right now, I get to coach and build teams and
Hmm.
help develop other people. And so all of that is just such an amazingly enjoyable experience for me that it's not anything that I dread. It's something I look forward to every day.
Right. Right. That's wonderful. Wonderful. So Melissa, one of the things that as we talk to our listeners and we get different questions in, a lot of our listeners, and I will say this, a lot of people that watch Women with Grit are men. So you have men and women that watch, even though it's called Women with Grit. And some of the men will say, well, I know it's more difficult for women to be successful. So if I hear a successful woman, then I'm definitely going to learn something that will help me out in my career or in my movement. So, but many people want to know, from time to time, you have these down times in your careers. How do you navigate those? If you're open to it, maybe give us an example of a time or two where you were kind of down and had to figure out how to get out of it, and walk us through that and talk to us about how you got out of it.
That's a really great question. And something I think, you mentioned men watching Women of Grit, and,
Mm-hmm.
there's sure different experiences that we have as men and women, both personally and professionally. But I think having a down and challenging time is probably, to your point, as you always say, we have more things in common
Yes.
that we have different, that this is one of those things where we all come to a hard pass and we have to get ourselves through. I think back to the job I had before this. I was working for a national nonprofit called the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation that was based in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And it was an incredible experience. It actually one of the things that prepared me the most for the role that I have right now. I served on the senior leadership team, had a fantastic boss, and I had spent quite a few years, as I shared with you earlier, in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really hard place to be because you're walking life with people, and you're walking life with people who are walking a really hard road. Either they themselves are sick, or their kids are sick, or somebody that they love are sick. And I left Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and went to the YMCA. Love the YMCA and the work that they do. I was there for 2 years. And one of the reasons that I needed to be there was because I needed to get out of the disease space. My heart, my soul, I needed a little break from that. And so when I had been called, kind of recruited for this role at the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation, I was like, yeah, I'm not sure, but this is a great opportunity. It's a great organization. There are a lot of kids that need this. Okay, I'm going to jump in. Well, after about 3.5 years, I started to feel it.
Okay.
Brain tumors are a really tough disease, and they're very, very tough for kids. It's really tough. I thought by working at the national office that there would be some distance between myself and the mission.
Okay.
There's never distance from the mission of your organization. And so spending time with parents who had lost the single most important thing in their life, who are receiving a diagnosis that they can do nothing about, there's no way that they, other than to love their kids and make them as comfortable as possible, there's nothing that they can do about it.
Right.
So I really was struggling, and it took me 18 months to figure out I needed to leave.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't good for me, and it wasn't good for if it's not good for me, it's not good for the organization. If I'm struggling and if you're struggling because you don't have boundaries and you can't compartmentalize effectively, that bleeds in to the work that you're doing, and it bleeds into the team that you're on. And so it just took me, I had kind of a pivotal experience. I had gone to a conference in LA. I'd spent time with a lot of volunteers. I spent time with a lot of families. And I just recognized I had this aha, like it's time for me to move on to my next chapter.
Gotcha.
Because this is best for me and best for the organization. But it was just a very intense series of meetings and time with people that allowed me to have this epiphany that leaving wasn't quitting.
Okay.
Leaving was doing what was best for both the organization and for me.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of times I think people hold on because they think people need them, or they think that they're quitting on somebody, or, whatever. And I think, a lot of times they know, God's spoken to them, or their heart or their gut, something spoken to them and told them, hey, it's time to go. No, they can't, they're not going to survive without me.
That's right. That's right. Well, when you're connected to people and, I think that's one of the things that I've started to figure out. I'm 50. And so I'm just now starting to figure out a lot of things about life.
You're still a baby.
Can I get that in writing? But, I'm figuring out that there are good endings. And you are thankful for the time that you had and an experience and appreciate every minute of it, but it's not meant to be forever.
Right. All right. Well, that's very key. So you have some questions coming in already. So I'm gonna pick up a couple of them now.
Okay.
Leslie Hardy, who's in Raleigh, North Carolina, she didn't have a question, but she said, just had the conversation last night. Who knows anything at age 18?
Oh, Leslie, that is right on. Nothing at 18, nothing.
Right.
You're just figuring it all out.
Yeah. And I think about that all the time when you see and hear, kids get in trouble. And, of course, we kind of, depending on what they've done, sometimes we throw them away for the next 50 or 60 years. And we don't take in consideration that they don't know what the hell they're doing. And not to take up for boys, but they're even less mature, at that age than young women are. But it's so unfortunate that that's how our system is set up, and we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about what you do with Big Brothers Big Sisters that maybe helps curb that in the next half hour. But so it's interesting. But Sharonda Scott,
our brain doesn't stop developing until our mid-20s.
Isn't that something? And we've decided to go to war. We started drinking. We started doing all kind of adult stuff, and our brain's not even ready yet.
We're not ready to adult.
To adult, yes. Yep, so true, so true. So Sharonda Scott asked, what are your goals? Let's see, what are your goals to accomplish in the next 5 years? And what are the motivations that helps you to strive for those goals?
Whoa, that's a big question, Sharonda. Thank you for asking that. Okay, my goals for the next 5 years and the motivations that are getting me through it. I have some professional goals that involve my organization and how we're able to support and build our team and support and build our community and young people. And I'll give you some more detail as we get into the second half hour. My personal goals are at this point in my life really to be a good daughter to my parents and my mother-in-law who are aging. We're getting into that chapter of our life, to be a good partner to my husband. I think that is the most important commitment that I've made in my life. And it is, you recognize how a good marriage is something that you always have to work on. And you always have to, how I show up now is different than how I showed up 10 years ago. And how I show up in 10 years will be different than how I'm showing up today. But it's one of my goals is to continue to be a good partner to him. And then a big one for me that I think is probably we're all have put on the top of our to-do list is to continue to invest in my health,
Mm.
in
Yeah.
myself.
Yes.
We probably all have recognized, particularly over the last 18 months, one, how easy it is to push yourself to the bottom of your to-do list.
Mhm.
And at the same token, you recognize that if you are not taking care of yourself, we hear it all the time, but we forget about it. You can't be great for anybody else if you're not great for yourself. So
Right.
that has been a big priority for me.
Right. So I'm gonna before we go to break, I'm gonna have you expand on that on your workout. Do you have a particular workout that you do, or you just get up and walk, or kind of give people an idea of what a busy CEO like you? What do you do? What's
Yeah,
your
you know
workout?
what? So I referenced that I'm 50 and I am historically a runner.
Okay.
Um, but I've had a lot of injuries in the last 2 years. And so I continue to recover and then have to go back to walking. So when
Hmm.
I'm not able to run, I walk and I lift weights. So I
Okay.
like to get up and do it in the morning. I've experimented
Yes.
with having my workouts in different parts of the day. And
Okay.
what I know is that my day gets away from me. Once it
Yes.
gets started, once you get to work,
Hmm.
your work becomes a priority, your family, all those things become a priority, and then you're tired
Yes.
and it's dark and you sat down and you don't want to get back
Right.
up again. So it works
Yeah.
out best for me if I do it in the morning.
Okay.
And I also really like the mindset that I have when I work out in the morning because
Hmm.
I had time that was for me.
Okay.
Before I did anything for anybody else, I took some time for me. And
Yes.
I also work stuff out. I don't know about you, Lee, but
I do.
when I'm working
Yeah.
out, that's when I'm like processing stuff. I'm
Yes.
solving the world's problems.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
a good way to start the day when you've already solved something.
Exactly. Of course, for me, I need to write it down because I'll forget what I saw. So,
Oh, dude, I have my phone with me, and if I have a thought, I type it in. I have brilliant thoughts in the shower. I got to
yeah,
get out and type it in my phone because if I
right.
don't capture it, it is in the ether and it never comes back again.
That's right. And he's like, "Oh man, I had a great idea. I had such a great idea."
What was it?
Yeah, but what was it exactly? So Melissa, do you have a personal motto that you live by?
I don't.
You
Do
don't?
you have
Okay.
a personal motto?
I don't think I do. I have a it's not a stated one. So but overall is to have to really enjoy life
Mm,
and to fully enjoy life and all that comes with it. And so I don't take anything negative too seriously. And my wins, I celebrate them. I celebrate them way more than I celebrate my losses. So that's kind of I always like to have positive energy around me, which
yep.
is why I think you and I get along well.
Yep,
Um,
that's fantastic. The thing I would say it's not a motto, but kind of to your point, and this is where I am right now, is that I want to be the best person I can be. And
mhm,
I recognize that all of life is an evolution to that. Like
mhm,
that's what you're working towards. And I can always get better, I can always learn, and I can always grow.
right.
Um, so I think about our president is in his 80s.
Mhm,
So, we talked about our family, and I think about in previous generations, there was this expectation that there was kind of a finish line
yes. Yes.
for growth or
Right.
development or evolution. And
Mhm.
I'm in this space where I see that there are no boundaries,
Right.
that your growth and evolution is just kind of limitless.
Mhm. Yep. Very much so. So we're gonna give you a quick break. Grab some water or some whiskey, whichever whichever is good for you.
That'll
And
be
when
a
we
different second half of the show.
yes, when we come back, we're gonna learn more about Melissa Hudson-Gant and what she does with Big Brothers Big Sisters and all the other things that she does throughout our community. I definitely want to thank you all for tuning in. and asking questions already. That's always awesome. Make sure you're sharing this. Your friends, if they are not on Facebook, they can look us up on YouTube on our Women with Grit YouTube page or channel. It's not a page, it's a channel. They can also check us out on our website, www.womenwithgrit.com, or of course, they can come to our Facebook page. And of course, if they miss us, they can always check out our replay later on this evening and throughout the week. So I want to take some time and thank our sponsors once again, MJC Insurance, mjcins.com. And hey, the great thing is they can help you with your insurance across the country. They're not just in Middle Tennessee or the state of Tennessee. Check them out on their website, mjcins.com. Brianna is the agent that I work with over there. And I mean, what's really cool is I remember early in the year, I think I shared with you guys, I was able to save significantly on my auto insurance because she was doing kind of a quarterly checkup. And then again, later on this summer, she called me up and said, "Hey, I can get you even a better rate than what you're paying on your current coverage." So check them out. They're always looking out for your best interest and looking for the coverages that will fit you and your family best. Terrell Perry at Molet Investment Services. You can email Terrell at Terrell, Terrell, at moletinvestmentservices.com. Terrell at moletinvestmentservices.com. He is definitely looking to help you and to help you get your financial and investment house in order, as well as your life insurance needs and disability. So give him a shout and let him help you out. Want to thank Sherelle Lands, SherelleLands.com, CharrelLes. What, that's spelled right? Nope. Sherelle, CherrelLens.com, SherelleLands.com, VisionStrategyManagement.com. Cool thing about Sherelle and Vision Strategy Management is that they're going to help you execute. We all have these great ideas, and a lot of times they sit on the shelf. She's going to help you pull it off the shelf, dust it off, and execute, implement, get it going so that you can be the best person or have the best company that you can have. Also want to thank The Table. And you can check out The Table, www.thetableaction.com, www.thetableaction.com. This is a community of over 200 members that have come together, and they've said, we're going to work together to help end racism, eradicate racism, but also more importantly, or as importantly, help people of color increase their level of prosperity. And they're doing it through networking and sponsorship and helping build businesses and all kind of things. So helping people with their careers, mentoring. So a number of different facets and ways that The Table is working. If you want to get involved, go to thetableaction.com. And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, next Wednesday, I want you to join me for Wealthy Wednesdays. And this is going to be an exciting time, an exciting series where we talk to you about building wealth. Now, the people that are going to this is going to appeal to already have their budget in order. They've got a lot of things in order. Now they're trying to figure out, how do I get to the next level, Lee? What do I need to do? And so we're going to take my 27 years of experience in helping people build wealth and give it to you every week on Wednesdays, when it will drop, and you can, of course, watch it at any time afterwards. All right, we're going to get back to our guest, Melissa Hudson-Gant, and find out a little bit more about her and Big Brothers Big Sisters. All right, how's that whiskey? No, just joking.
Delicious.
Yeah, if I drink too much, I may start slurring, so I have to wait.
If I drink too much, I'm going to go to sleep. So.
Oh gosh, cool. So Melissa, you are now the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and and I think many of us have heard of the organization over the years, and we've heard the term bigs and little. I had a little, which meant I was a big, and my little is now in the Navy and doing his thing there, and just so many kids have had success going through Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I think your bigs will even talk about how fulfilling it was for them and how it has helped them in their in their lives as well. But give us an overview of what you all do at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So we are, as a national organization, more than 100 years old. In the Middle Tennessee agency, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Middle Tennessee, we serve 8 counties, and we're 52 years old. In 1969, we were started by a group of community leaders who saw a need to invest in the young people in our community. And that's really what we are as an organization. We're youth empowerment. We want to empower young people to build their best futures. And we do that through professionally supported one-to-one mentoring. So Lee, you went through the process, and you had your little, and you guys really dug each other, so much so that you are still in touch. You know where he is, you know what he's doing. And that's part of the magic sauce of what we do and what our staff does, is that they match the young person and the caring adult in a way. They're putting 2 people together who are really going to like each other. You know, their personalities will get along. They have similar interest. They have the foundation for building a good relationship. And then from there, they set goals. You know, what does this young person want to do for themselves? Do they want to try new things and stretch and grow? Do they want to work on relationships with their family? Do they want to work on relationships with their friends? Do they want to learn a sport? Do they want to work on their academics? They've set a goal. And so this adult, this mentor, is there to be an advisor, to walk alongside with them, to encourage, coach, and support them in achieving their goal. And once that goal is achieved, they can set a new goal, and they're working on that. So that's what we do. We prepare, we coach the mentors, the bigs, to be a mentor for that young person, to show up in their best way. You know, we haven't been kids for a long time, so maybe, and when we were kids, maybe we didn't have TikTok.
No, we didn't.
We probably had books. We didn't have everything on a laptop. And so, you know, we might need a little coaching and support to reconnect with young people and guide them through experiences that, while are very similar to some of the things that we went through, are also very different, because we live in a different age and time. So our bigs are never left without support from our really incredible and amazing staff. And then we also, this is really a partnership. It's a 4-way partnership between the organization, the big, the little, and the family. We're all working together to help fuel the vision that this young person has for themselves.
Okay. All right. Great. Excellent. Now, I know I enjoyed the organization when I went through the process. I think one of the things that really benefited me was the training that you give the bigs. Why don't you talk about the training that the bigs get, and then even if you do any training with the littles or their families.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I think that we don't talk enough about is the benefit to the adult volunteers in our organization. You're really receiving relationship training, how to build and foster a healthy relationship, communication skills, attunement, understanding how you feel, understanding how people around you feel, and understanding how to read those signs. I mean, this is all outside of volunteering with Big Brothers Big Sisters. You're probably not getting that kind of information, that kind of education. So the training that mentors and bigs get through our program will bleed into every other relationship that they have. It's really teaching them how to build and sustain healthy relationships, and how to have, too, a very high level of awareness and learn about themselves, which is critical to having a relationship with yourself and a relationship with others.
That's phenomenal. So what are some of the misconceptions, if you will, of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and what are some of the objections you get from bigs or from littles or their families when approached or when they're hearing about the organization?
You know, I think from the community at large, when we talk about becoming a big brother, big sister, a mentor to a young person, people think that the young people in our program need to be saved. If there's some kind of problem and we need this adult to kind of helicopter in and save them from the brink of disaster. And that isn't the case. The young people in our program are like all young program, at risk is a term that is often used to describe kids. And what I think is that we are all at risk.
Yeah.
We're all at risk at hitting a road bump or making a bad decision or getting tired and weary and broken down of being alone. We're all at risk of those, but we're also all at promise. We have at promise a wonderful and beautiful future and amazing relationships and a career and experiences and travel and great food and wonderful music and dancing. We're all at promise of experiencing that. And that's what the young people in our program are. And I think that's the misconception, that we often have to spend a lot of time shifting people's perspective. You're not here to rescue anyone.
Right.
You're here to be a partner and support a young person in their individualized path to their future.
Right. That's phenomenal. Yep. So I think one of the keys I picked up from that, and I do agree, is that people feel like the kids have to be rescued, and maybe think it's a little bit more of a lift than what they're willing to do, versus understanding that most of the kids aren't a heavy lift, and I think you all do a good job of, when you match kids with people, you find the ones that are, you find out a good match.
That's right.
If somebody's not really down for a heavy lift, you're not going to give them a heavy lift. You're going to, for example, Sean, my little, he wasn't a heavy lift at all. His mom was very involved in his life. He had a relationship with his dad. But it was just something that he needed more guidance and more of a view outside of his community and outside of what he normally encountered in his normal walk of life. He wasn't in a bad place, but I think what we were able to do together, he saw so many other things and met so many other people and increased his network differently. So just more so change.
Yeah. And, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. And I think Leslie pointed this out, like not knowing anything at 18. We only know what we've experienced,
right?
Especially as kids. Because as kids, our experience is largely dictated by the adults that care for us, that are in our life. And so when we have more adults that are investing into us, it broadens our horizons. It helps us see how different people live. How different people have relationships, what their jobs are, what's important to them. And you start to understand, like, hey, I'm really driving my own bus and I get to decide what my life looks like. I'm in charge of me, and I get to write my story in any way that I want to. And you really get to understand that because of your mentor, because of all the other people that you meet in your life.
Yep, definitely. So we have a question. I got to shout out my cousin, Derek Allen. Now, Derek and I graduated high school together in Detroit. He lives in Silver Springs, Maryland. He went to Howard University. And he's like this master. I don't even know what you call him. I mean, he's got like these cameras that I see some of his videos and everything. It's like he's doing Star Wars or something. So, but he's got Silhouette Media is his company in Maryland. So he does commercials, he does all kind of stuff, videos, you name it. And he's always been creative in things that he does. So we're same age. I think, well, he's maybe a month or two younger than me. I think his birthday's in September and I'm in June. But literally we met each other in first grade and we talked to each other all the time and got in trouble. And then we wound up graduating from the same high school.
No, I don't believe it.
Yeah. So I know. So he just tuned in. So I want to shout him out. Sharonda had a question. She says, please provide nuggets to anyone who would like to participate in Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
I think, and I don't know if this was your experience, Lee, but what I hear from a lot of our littles and our bigs and our families is that this experience is really transformative. And this kind of ties into the work we're doing, Lee, with the table. I think one of the most powerful things that we do at Big Brothers Big Sisters is that we are connecting two human beings who would otherwise not meet. They wouldn't know each other. They're generally from different backgrounds, different communities. They've had very different experiences in life. And again, back to your point, more in common than we have differences. We're very intentionally matching these two people from really different places who have all this stuff in common,
Right.
And connecting them. And it's critical now. It has always been important, but it's really critical now. We know in the world that we live in that we build relationships, that we connect to each other, that we build community. So I think that's something that's really important, and part of why it's so transformational. It's a gift to be a part of someone else's life. And it's really a gift to be a part of a young person's life as they're in this stage of exploration and discovery, and to be part of this kind of individual awakening, into them becoming the person that they're going to be. I mean, that's a gift. That's amazing.
Yes. Right. Definitely. That's a great answer. Sharonda, thank you for that question. She had one other one. How can the relationship be better with outside support? So how can a relationship be better with outside support?
That's a really fantastic question, Sharonda. And I'm gonna pay you later because I feel like you're setting me up for everything fantastic. The reason that the relationship is better with outside support is because this is an intentional relationship. You're definitely building fellowship, and that's the foundation. And the intent of the relationship is the growth of the young person. It is achieving goals. So it's very structured. There's lots of time to explore and do fun things, but you really are tracking and working toward a goal. And there are, in the young person's development, they may have some challenges that the big is not prepared to support this young person through. As we are hitting puberty, as we have scuffles at school, if we have challenges with absenteeism or all the things that the young people go through, the big really needs coach and guidance to effectively support the young person through these chapters in their life. And it's also really helping to support the family. The family through this, in the relationship development, adding additional coaching, support, and guidance. And then most importantly, it's safety. It's keeping all the people in the relationship safe. And that's a big part of what our staff do. They're making sure that the young person, that the adult volunteer, and the family are progressing in a healthy way, and that everyone is safe.
Wonderful. Great question. Thanks, Derek. Derek said he's really enjoying the conversation.
And you guys look alike. In that small picture that I saw, I think I saw some family resemblance.
Yeah. If he's not, I'm shaved. So I think if I grow it out, we have about the same level of gray as well. Oh, gosh. So, Melissa, this has been a really good time, and time is moving on us. We have a few more minutes. Tell everyone how they can get in touch with you. How can they sign up or get more information about Big Brothers Big Sisters, and maybe if you have some other things that you're working on that you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm going to share our website, which is mentorakid.org. That's mentorakid.org. From that website, you can find out everything about us. We have our contact information, and we would really love to hear from you. We'll share some more information for all of your listeners that are interested in learning more about our different programs. And I think something else, and maybe this goes back to one of the common misconceptions about our program, is that it takes an exorbitant amount of time. It is certainly a commitment because you're committing to a young person. Right. We want you to show up in the right way for that young person, because that's paramount and important. But we have programs that really accommodate your schedule and your time. So we have our community-based mentoring program is where the adult goes to the young person's house, they pick them up and they interact in the community and do things together. Our staff are always putting together a list of activities. We're securing tickets.
Yes.
This isn't a financial burden. You probably remember that, Lee, right?
Yeah.
We always have things for you to do. And that's another role of our staff is curating activities for you to do with your little. And you meet about once a week. In our site-based program, that's where the adult goes to the school and you interact with your little during the school day, during the school year on school grounds. So that's a more time constrained because it's from the start of school to the end of school and you take a break during the summers. We have our e-mentoring program and that's focused on juniors and seniors and them planning their future.
Wow.
So you interact with your young person, you get together in person 3 times a year.
Okay.
And those are usually for college visits or other organized activities. And the rest of your time, you're communicating through a platform and you're working through a guided curriculum. So that's very flexible for folks. And people are enjoying this program so much that we have bigs that are re-upping. So it's a 2-year commitment because you're following this high school student in their junior and senior year. And we have so many people that once they conclude the senior year with their little, they're like, hey, I really dug that. I want to come back and do this again.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then we have a new program called Sports Buddies. It is a 6-month commitment. You get together twice a month. Our staff are planning and organizing all of the activities and they're related, all involve sports in some way. It might be learning about careers in the sports industry. It might be going to a Preds or a Titans game. It might be going climbing at Climb Nashville. It might be taking a tour of the stadium at Vanderbilt. Anything that involves sports, we're going to put that together, and that's for you to participate in with your little. So you can see from the different programs that I've shared, there's a variety that'll really fit all of your listeners' interest and time availability.
I think you've secured one. Looks like Sharonda says she's interested in participating and learning more about what you're doing. Yes.
Come on.
So we'll make sure we so mentorakid.org, Sharonda. Now, and of course, you're part of a national organization. Is that the same website across the board, or is that just the website for Middle Tennessee?
Just for us. We're all our own separate entities. Each of the Big Brother, Big Sister agencies across the Federation, across the United States. There are 233 of us. And then we have our national organization that issue charters to us. They guide, direct, and support us, but we're our own entity. So mentorakid.org is specifically for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Middle Tennessee.
Okay. All right, great. And what are your handles, social media handles that people can follow you on or reach out to you on?
LinkedIn is probably the best social media handle for me. I've taken a big break from Facebook and Instagram. So I'm Melissa Hudson-Gant on LinkedIn.
So Melissa Hudson-Gant on LinkedIn.
Yep.
All right. You're not going to believe it, and I don't either, but we're about out of time. What wisdom, any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, the final thing I'm going to share with your audience is that I have more mentors now in this stage of my life than I've ever had before. So what I would say to your audience, and we're talking about grit and resiliency and navigating career and life. And what I think is that you got to get your tribe, you got to get your people, and that should definitely include mentors, a wide variety of people. Leverage them because they have been invaluable for me.
That's wonderful. And what's the best way for someone to get a mentor?
Look within your network and start talking to your friends.
Okay.
Talk to your colleagues, talk to your boss. Who are people that you admire? Who are people that have experience and knowledge that you don't have? And what I have found, and this is something, Lee, you and I have talked a lot about, is that particularly in Nashville and in Middle Tennessee, we have said this before, if the president of the United States lived here, we could get a meeting with him.
Right.
People are open, they are community focused, they will take your call, they will take a meeting. So look outside of just your direct network. Really look at people in the community who are doing things that interest you, that have accomplishments that inspire you, and reach out to them and say, hey, can I take you to coffee for 30 minutes?
Right.
30-minute commitment is really easy to secure.
Yes. Yep. I fully agree, and I think that's a great way to do it. To find somebody that you want to be like.
Yeah.
And it does take reaching outside of your box, outside of your comfort zone sometimes to do that. So, but hey, thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate you this evening. Our listeners appreciate you. This has been phenomenal. I know Sherelle really appreciates you and the time that you spent with us this evening. Hey, everyone. I know Sherelle normally gives you a wrap up at the end of the day, and she takes meticulous notes and all that stuff. I'm not your guy. So I'm not going to give you a summary.
You do you, Lee.
Yes. What I will say is that you can go back and watch Melissa Hudson-Gant later on this evening on the Women with Grit website, Facebook page, and you can watch the replay and you can take notes from there. Sherelle may come up with some Sherelle notes later on. I don't know, but I'm not going to commit her to that. But you can definitely do that. Also, make sure you share this with your friends if this is something you enjoy. Again, feel free to share it with your entire network. And anyone that wasn't able to join us via Facebook, remind them that they can go to our YouTube page, Women with Grit. I keep saying YouTube page, but it's a channel. Our YouTube channel. You can go check it out on our Women with Grit YouTube channel. There we go. And listen in. And next week, we're going to be back with another exciting edition of Women with Grit. We want to thank all of our sponsors. And we want to thank Melissa Hudson-Gant again. And to get in touch to learn more about Big Brothers Big Sister, go to mentorakid.org. Thank you all. Everyone have an amazing week. Did you have something you wanted to say, Melissa?
I was going to just tease who I think your guest is next week. I believe it's Yolanda Beach.
YOLO B. Yes. How did you know? Who told you?
I'm psychic.
Yes, we're going to be excited to have Yolanda Beach. Now, the interesting thing about her, and we got to sign off, is that she's always doing the interviewing. So this is going to be a totally different dynamic for her. And,
turning the table.
Yes. So we're excited about having Yolanda Beach next week. So thank you all. Everyone have a great evening, and we will see you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.